Timmy!
Citgo is proud to offer Open Road Rock, a 3-volume set of hard-driving classic rock hits from Rod Stewart, Santana, Yes, and more. Each tape's only $2.99 with an 8-gallon fill-up, $4.99 for CDs. Plus, you could win this 1971 Corvette convertible in the Open Road Rock sweepstakes. Open Road Rock from Citgo, because the thrill of the road is nothing without music.
Every kind of takeout has its own box. Chinese. Pizza? Fun. Nobody has more fun than Blockbuster, so if you want great takeout without the calories, make it a Blockbuster night.
What's Bessie like?
This is the first time I heard from her in 20 years.
Sometimes problems keep families together. One of the best films of the year. Marvin's Room, rated PG-13. Parents strongly cautioned. From Miramax Home Video. Rented tonight at Blockbuster.
CBS. Welcome home.
Folks, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom. It's the 11th of June, 1997. The Colorcast is on the air now from CBS TV here in Southern California. Nice day outside today, and I hope it's been even more beautiful wherever you are. Mike Myers is on the show tonight. He is currently starring in the motion picture Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, and Lucian Truscott is here tonight, military expert. What is going on in the American Armed Services regarding sexual behavior and adultery? I think tonight is the 45th night in a row that I have not been late here. Remember the night I was late? And it's unusual because, and they're going to love when I tell this, how we start 5 minutes earlier for New York, but the rest of you don't see us until regular time. See, those people watching in Philadelphia will not see this until 5 or 6 minutes from now. And I could go even further into this, but no. I got a piece of, and you all get this, junk mail today. This was from the Republican Senatorial Committee for 1997. Dear Tom Snyder, it invited me to an event in this summertime to meet Charlton Heston. And the letter said, Mr. Snyder, this will probably be the only chance that you ever get in your whole life to meet Charlton Heston. And I thought about the research that they don't do at the Republican fundraising, you know. I mean, these guys have the majority in the House and the Senate, and they think I'm never going to have a chance to meet Charlton Heston unless I pay $1,000 for rubber chicken in Anaheim in July. I mean, geez, man, oh man, oh man. When better morons are built, huh, they shall be politicians. You know what I thought we'd do tonight? Cosby was here the other night, and he has these shows that run on CBS. And they're based on the old Art Linkletter programs of years gone by where kids say the darndest things. And some school teachers sent in here answers that kids gave to questions on science tests at high schools and grade schools around the country. So here are just a couple of actual answers from actual kids who say the darndest things when you ask them questions. May I proceed, Mr. Kennedy? Thank you so much. Answer number 1. Many dead animals of the past changed to fossils while others preferred to become oil. The largest mammals are to be found in the sea because there is simply nowhere else to dump them. The leopard has black spots which look like sores. Those who touch the sores get leprosy. What are the main body cavities? Well, one person answered the 3 main cavities of the body are the head cavity, the tooth cavity, and the abominable cavity. What are cadavers? Cadavers are dead bodies that have donated themselves to science. The procedure is called gross anatomy. What is algebra? Algebra was the wife of Euclid. What are genetics? Genetics, one person answered, explains why you look like your father and mother, and if you don't, why you should. What is the makeup of water? Water is composed of 2 gins, oxygen and hydrogen. Oxygen is pure gin, hydrogen is gin and water. I love it. And the final answer must have been about the climate. And this one girl answers, she says, It is so hot in some places that people there have to live in other places. So these are little answers from kids who say the darndest things. Mike Myers joins us tonight from Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, and Lucian Truscott, and what is going on in the American military. And, of course, you on the toll-free. Settle back, fire up the colortinis, and watch the pictures as they fly through the air.
I've been chasing this guy ever since I joined the force.
For Special Agent Sean Archer,
He's the most dangerous criminal mind I've ever known.
there's only one way to catch a killer.
I will become him.
From the director of Broken Arrow, John Travolta,
Nothing like having your face cut off to disturb your sleep.
Nicolas Cage, Face Off.
You're not having any fun!
Rated R starts Friday, June 27th, everywhere.
If you want great taste without all the fat, then go to Subway for a fresh sandwich. And right now, for a limited time, we've livened up our roasted chicken breast sandwich with the sweet, delicious flavor of Grey Poupon honey mustard. Take the Subway challenge at a Subway near you.
Have you seen the elf? He's hiding behind this card. The elf.
The world's smallest 2-time zoom camera. The big news in the advanced photo system.
Have you seen the elf?
New from Canon.
A woman is feeling a little sluggish. So she goes to her personal trainer and she says, "Hey, I'm feeling a little sluggish. What do I do?" "Get a Katera," said the trainer. So they take a test drive and she puts it through a workout. Climbs a few hills, passes a truck, and stops on a mime. The more she drives it, the more she likes it. The more she likes it, the better she feels. "Katera does my heart good," said the woman. "I think I'll buy one." "Exercise your prerogative," said the trainer. Katera, it's the caddy that zigs.
You love playing with your kids, but it's killing your back. When back pain hits hard, get Dones. Dones is effective back pain medicine. It relieves the pain no matter where it hurts. Dones, the back pain medicine.
Mom and Dad went all the way to Italy to get this leather sofa. Really?
Actually, they bought their Natuzzi sofa at Roberts.
They paid billions and trillions of dollars for it. Wow.
Actually, they got the lowest prices in town.
They're gonna get me a red one, too. Can they get me one, too? All right, but you can't have this one.
We have a huge selection of Natuzzi. Robert, all the comforts of home.
Here at the Post Cereal Company, 1997 is our 100th anniversary. We're not throwing any parties.
We're not making any special boxes.
We're doing something different.
We know there are families everywhere who don't have enough to eat.
So over the next 100 days, we'll be giving away enough Post cereal to feed 1 million people.
We don't know what it's like to feel hunger in our own homes.
But that doesn't mean we can ignore it.
There's nothing we'd rather do for our anniversary.
He can run the equivalent of 200 miles per hour. Not fast enough. Nothing's faster than black flag. Roaches start to die instantly. Black flag, ready, aim, gone.
My first guest tonight is Mike Myers, who created some of the more memorable characters on Saturday Night Live, and now he has a brand new character, and it's a honey. Austin Powers, a 1960s swinger who's dropped into a much more sober 1990s. The movie is called Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. It's in the theaters now. And by the way, Mike is on the air tomorrow night when he hosts the MTV Movie Awards. Thanks for coming in. I'm an enormous fan of your work, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show over the
Well, it's an honor to be on your show.
Well, thank you very kindly.
I worship the ground you sit on. I worship the chair that you sit on. That's my religion. It's a little pathetic.
You'll do well here tonight.
Yes.
Tell me here about this fellow Austin Powers, the man who came from the 60s and is now alive and well in the 90s.
Well, he's kind of a sexual Rip Van Winkle. And I say Winkle because it sounds vaguely dirty. And no, he's a guy who was a sexual revolutionary in the 60s, and then he's unfrozen in the 90s to get his nemesis, who is an uptight square, who for whom world domination is his bag. And he falls in love with Elizabeth Hurley, and hilarity ensues.
What's amazing to me is that since this picture has been on the screens now, it's been out since I believe the 2nd or 3rd of May.
Yes.
Is that no other pictures have really done big business since Austin Powers came on the scene. I mean, most pictures have opened to almost no grosses all through May and June.
Yeah, it's a shame of what happened to Lost World.
Yeah, look at it. The thing almost died, you know.
No, it's done great, and I'm very grateful.
Well, I'll tell you what. Rather than talk about it, let's take a look at a little snip, okay?
Okay.
Here is Mike Myers as the main star in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. Take it. What about Mike Myers in real life and the sexual revolution? It seems to me that probably by the time you got to dating, the revolution was pretty much over.
Yes, I was in the sexual counter-revolution. I had really greasy hair and bad acne, so even if I had been right in the prime, I would have not been part of it. No, by the time I started going out with girls in the early 80s, I'd missed it.
Completely?
Completely.
Virgin when you were married?
I'm still a virgin. No. I've had sex, ladies and gentlemen. I have.
Let me ask you here about growing up. I know that you're a Canadian.
Yes.
And in reading about you this afternoon, humor came easily to your family. I read stories about your dad, that he had a good sense of humor, was a funny guy, and would do funny things when you were kids.
My dad was insane. My parents came to Canada in 1956 from Liverpool, England. And you know how, like, the Beatles were always, you know, telling jokes and all very funny and great and woo-woo. That was my parents. And my dad was just constantly, like, you know, many times we'd be walking and he'd randomly kick me in the ass, just sort of like
just randomly. For fun, huh?
And it would be like, we'd be at like a hardware store. There's a place called Canadian Tire, which is a huge hardware store. And, you know, he'd start talking to the guy and say things like, you know, the guy'd say, well, what do you do for a living? He'd say, ooh, I play bongo drums on the Mission Impossible theme.
Oh, really?
Just random association, crazy stuff. And my mom is also a character. She has no internal monologue. She'll just say anything that pops into her head. It's things like, you know, ants don't like cucumbers. It's like, excuse me? Yes. An ant could be starving, could not have eaten all day long. You put cucumber in front of them, they won't thank you for it.
No.
No, termites don't like cinnamon. In fact, most of your chitinous exoskeleton pests don't like condiments of any sort, really.
This would just come gurgling out of
And I'm like, and this relates to what? And they say, oh, just thinking about it, you know. You know, Rembrandt was the Lord of Light. Yes. He was a master of chiaroscuro. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm telling you about my grades right now. Well, I just thought it might relate somehow. I'm just getting some transmissions from the mothership, that's all.
And this was Mom at home, huh?
It's just crazy.
Was Mom a house mom, or did she work?
Both my parents worked. My dad sold encyclopedias. In fact, this is my dad's Encyclopedia Salesman of the Year ring from 1956. And my mom worked in a factory. She worked in the office part of a factory that made aerosol cans, which was really great during the 80s. What does your mom do? Nothing. She works at a puppy grinding factory, okay?
Now, I read that when you were 8 or 9 years old, you did a commercial with Gilda Radner.
With the late and wonderful
Great and
beautiful,
wonderful, dear Gilda Radner.
Masterful Gilda Radner, indeed, yes. It was for British Columbia Hydroelectric, the utilities company, and it was a 4-day shoot. And I fell in love with her, you know, because she played my mom, and she was awesome, and everybody on the set loved her. And I cried on the last day, and so my brothers, like, saw me, you know, they came and visited the set, and of course, because I was the youngest of 3 boys, and, you know, they would routinely fart on my head and make me drink their urine, they called me Sucky Baby. So I was Sucky Baby for an entire year.
Hold it.
No, I drank the urine, but this is where the story gets interesting.
Just
what? You want me to roll back? Yeah, it was like, here, Mike, you want some Mountain Dew? And so, many of the time, I was tortured by my brothers, and they called me Sucky Baby for an entire year. Then one day, my brother said, hey, Sucky Baby, your girlfriend's on TV on Saturday, and it was Saturday Night Live. And I turned to everybody in my family, and I said, and I loved the show. I thought it was awesome. I said, I'm going to be on that show. I was 11 years old. And they were like, yeah, right, get a load of Sucky Baby.
But then Gilda Radner, you saw her on Saturday Night Live,
and
right?
it was Gilda Radner. That was
let me go back past the point where you had the Mountain Dew to where you're making the commercial for the hydroelectric and power company.
You seem quite intrigued by
No, not at all. I truly don't wish to go there.
my pee-drinking past.
You have such a delicate way of putting it.
Well, you know.
But let me go back here to the hydroelectric and power company.
Oh, sure.
Like, why would you have to sell that? Because wouldn't most people buy the power anyway? I mean, probably a lot of people in Canada have electricity in their homes, so you wouldn't have to say, please buy electricity.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was on 60 Minutes today. I don't have an answer for that, okay?
Well, then you're out of here.
Okay. No, it's, the whole thing was ironic because it was a commercial that was right before the energy crisis. And it's like a 1950s motifed commercial. And it was like, cheaper now than in 56. And then the next day, there was the energy crisis.
Yes, sir. That is snappy.
So it ran once.
Here's Mark on the toll-free in Lilburn, Georgia. Hi, Mark, and welcome to CBS Late Night.
Hi, Tom. I love your show. Watch it every night.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Say hi to Mike Myers. He's right here.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. This is the high mark of the show. Because it's high and Mark. You know, ants don't like cucumbers.
My question was, what is the hardest job or role you've ever had to play?
The hardest role I've ever had to... I think Austin Powers, because there's a scene in Austin Powers where Elizabeth Hurley's in the foreground blocking my bits and pieces. And I originally had nudie briefs, but that didn't work.
Nudie briefs?
Yeah, there's these flesh-colored pants.
Flesh-colored, okay.
And eventually it ended up that I had to use two-way tape on my bits and pieces, gaffer's tape. So that was the hardest role I've ever had in my life, was doing that.
That'd be the hardest role, Mark, that he's ever had in his life.
Okay.
Mark, you're going to accept that, just at face value?
Yeah, from Mike, yeah.
God bless you, sir. Thank you.
I mean, I would challenge you, Mark. There's got to have been a harder role than that.
All right, I see what this is turning into, and I don't like it.
It's getting ugly now.
It's getting ugly.
Mark, thanks for calling, and thanks for watching,
Mark.
pal.
Thanks.
Bye-bye now, Mark.
Bye.
In your biography, there is a line that says Mike Myers devotes his life to professional hockey.
It is a religion.
Are you serious about that? Do you go to a lot of games?
I try and go to as many games as I can. I play 4 times a week. Most of the time I'm wearing clothes that have something to do with the NHL. And it is a beautiful human endeavor, the game of hockey.
As a matter of fact, did not the game of hockey lead to romance in your life? And did it not introduce you in a manner of speaking to the woman who is now your bride?
This is true. What happened was I was at the, I went to see Chicago Stadium. I wanted to get there before they were tearing it down. And I wanted to go to all the original 6 stadiums. And I went to Chicago, and that night I caught a puck. And then I met my wife,
Which is unusual, is it not, to catch a puck?
The mathematical probabilities are that and, you know, seeing Cahutek twice in your life. Right. And Cahutek.
Cahutek. Big comet in the sky.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
right behind Hale Bop.
Hale Bop.
Right.
Cahutek.
Cahutek.
God bless you. So I caught Cahutek. Now, see, now I'm derailed my story. I caught a puck, and then 3 years, and then I met Robin, and, you know, we instantly hit it off. And then 3 years later, we went to another original.
Wait. What did you, like, when you catch
Hydroelectric.
When you catch a puck.
Yes.
It's such a big deal that you want to show it off to everybody.
Oh, my God. I was just like, I was crazy. I was in the bar going, I got a puck, you know, but that's my genetic Canadian, my upbringing. And so what happened was 3 years later, we went to Boston Gardens, and my wife, Robin, catches a puck.
Really?
She was a slap shot from the point. I saw it all happening. Of course, my wife, being a girl at a hockey game, is doing this, looking all around, right? So bored. And then it came, and it beat me on the glove hand side and hit her in the breast.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And, ouch.
Mm-hmm.
And because my wife is from New York, she was like, all of a sudden, she, you know, reached, and the puck is wet from the ice, and she went, oh, my God, I've been shot, right? And, of course, you know, she went, I've been shot. You know, because I'm from Toronto, and I would think, oh, my God, something from the ceiling fell
down,
right?
But from the Bronx, I've been shot.
She just went, I've been shot. And she, you know, was sending me out to look for the shooter. And there was, you know, it was weird. And then shortly after that, we were married.
And how does it feel to a true hockey fan to know that this year the Stanley Cup Finals were played by 2 teams in the lower 48, that'd be the Philadelphia Flyers and the Detroit Red Wings, and that Detroit is now the holder of the Stanley Cup rather than a Canadian city, from Montreal or Edmonton or one of those teams?
Well, at first, disbelief.
Yeah.
Then pain. Then acceptance. No, the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley. That's my team, Toronto Maple Leafs. Haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. which I believe was the last time Kohoutek visited our galaxy.
Right, so it may be time then
It might be
for Toronto.
time.
You know, Kohoutek, like forklift, is a very funny word.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now with the news, here is Mike Kohoutek.
That's right.
We'll be right back here with Mike Myers, who is in fact Austin Powers, the international man of mystery and the host of the MTV Movie Awards, which I believe was videotaped last night and will be on the air tomorrow night.
Indeed.
On the
Yes,
MTV.
it will.
And how did the awards go last night?
They went as smoothly as Kohoutek.
Kohoutek.
Now, they went great. I had a blast.
Very good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good. We'll be right back here with Mike Myers, who is Austin Powers, the international man of mystery. The toll-free is up and running, as you know, at 800-952-2788. I'm Tom, and for better or worse, you're watching CBS.
This is the hangar. This is our plane.
What's that?
That's a rock.
The #1 movie in America
Rock and roll.
is a thrill ride you won't forget.
We're going to Disneyland.
Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up. Let's do it. Explosively intense.
Isn't that your car?
Con Air is a pure adrenaline rush.
Well, viva Las Vegas.
Buckle up for the blockbuster hit of the summer. Con Air.
I'm too old for this.
Rated R. Now playing.
They're coming from Japan, from Russia, from everywhere. But they all wind up in the same place. The Wound & Wound Toy Company, one of the world's largest collections of wind-ups. LA's hottest movers, shakers, and big talkers. So bring your inner child, your real child, and your Visa card. Because at the Wound & Wound Toy Company, you won't wind up with anything using American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Adam is desperate for his dad,
I just wish she knew me.
and he's not alone.
I believe most of these kids would walk through fire to get to their fathers. I never met my dad. I cried because each year on my birthday, I looked for him.
Runaway fathers, throwaway kids, 48 hours Thursday.
When Walker exposes a dark secret,
Nasty bruise, Eddie.
I felt.
Chuck Norris is the last hope for a mother and son. An unforgettable Walker, CBS Saturday.
In all great vehicles, the main ingredient is Publix.
In order to keep cool in the burning sands of the desert, the leopard gecko licks the moisture from its eye. Of course, who wants to lick their eyeballs? Especially when you can get a Chevy S10 Southern States package for about $13.5. Aluminum wheels, stereo cassette, and most importantly, air conditioning. The extremely cool Chevy S10, like a rock. And now, make this deal even better with $1,000 cash back.
Mike Myers is here tonight, Austin Powers, international man of mystery. Here is Simon on the toll-free in Toronto. Hi, Simon. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind tonight?
Hi, Tom. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Toronto.
Yeah, I have a 2-part question for you.
All right, go ahead.
Part one.
Where exactly from Toronto did you come from?
Scarborough.
Scarborough?
Yeah.
Oh, pretty tough streets, eh?
They were, you know, it's very flat and there's a lot of donut stores.
Yeah. Now, Simon, what kind of an area in the Toronto area is Scarborough? Is that a good neighborhood, so-so neighborhood? What would you say?
Well, I'd say so-so. I heard, I hear from the news it's kind of rough, but, you know.
Like when you were growing up, were there a lot of street fights and stuff there?
There was a few street fights. Did
you ever get beat up bad?
I got beat up a couple times and I got into fights, but it's not a war zone. But it's flat, and a lot of factory carpet outlets out there.
Maybe not before tonight it wasn't a war zone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like L.A.
All right, part number 2 now, Simon, because time's a-wasting.
Yeah, and what was
We only have 3 hours tonight, Simon. So.
What was your first big break?
My first big break was being on Saturday Night Live.
And how did you make the transition from being in a small town like Toronto and going to the States?
Well, before Saturday Night Live, didn't you spend some time in Chicago?
I worked at Chicago Second City.
Second City, right.
And I'd lived in London, England, so I was kind of used to, you know, a big city that wasn't Toronto.
Right.
But Toronto's pretty big.
Very cosmopolitan city,
And
Toronto.
Toronto's just a really great city, and it's clean and it's safe, and I love it. And so it's still hard. It's still hard not being in Toronto.
And so from London, did you go to Saturday Night Live? But, you know, part 2 of Simon's question here is, you know, how do we get to the big break of Saturday Night Live?
What happened was I did the 15th anniversary of Second City, Toronto.
Oh, there you go.
And Martin Short and Pam Thomas, a producer, saw me at the 15th anniversary and called up Lorne. And then out of the blue,
Lorne Michaels, executive producer,
the
creator, right?
Indeed, from Toronto. And called me up out of the blue and said, you know, would you like to be on the show? And or would you like to come in and meet? So that was the first time I'd been in New York. And I come into New York, I go over the Triborough Bridge, I see this big city, it just blew my mind.
Yeah, it's something in it.
It's unbelievable. And then I meet with Lorne, and it's Lorne Michaels, somebody I'd done a project on in grade 8, you know, of famous Canadians. And right behind his head is the Empire State Building.
Oh, I know, it's wonderful.
And I'm just like, I just couldn't believe it, and then I got hired.
You know, when he was a kid, his big brothers called him Silly Sucky?
Did they really?
Yeah, they called Lorne that, yeah.
I'm seeing a trend here. That is amazing.
Anyway,
what are the odds of that?
The 2 answers,
Those
Simon,
are Kahootek odds.
The 2 answers, Simon, that you're looking for here would be Scarborough, and would be Saturday Night Live would be the answers.
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, good night now, Simon.
Keep on bleeding blue.
Okay, bye-bye, Simon. Say good night, Simon. Goodbye. Where did Wayne come from?
Simon.
No, you know...
Seriously, it's the suburban adolescent North American heavy metal experiences I knew it growing up in Scarborough, Ontario.
You knew Wayne when you were growing up, huh?
I was kind of like Wayne. I was a heavy metal guy with long hair and, you know, denim jacket and black T-shirt and ripped jeans.
And what about Dieter?
Dieter was a waiter in Toronto.
Tell me about him.
Downtown. And he was an exchange student.
German guy, right?
A German guy.
What would you like to have for your dinner?
Yes, it was like, what do you want to order? And I'd say, yeah, well, what are the specials? Your order has become tiresome. You're a silly bitch. And then he would dance, and I'd be like, okay. He would just dance. And it'd be like, I just wanted a hot dog, Chief, you know? But he loved hockey and hockey cards, and that was our thing. And then he showed us all the art world of Toronto, all the different installations in and around Toronto.
Okay, so you knew him in real life. What about Linda there, Linda?
Linda Richmond is my wonderful, awesome mother-in-law, my wife's mother.
How does she like?
She loves
Linda?
it.
Oh, okay.
She knows that it comes from love, and I actually think it's a very lovely...
He's talking about.
It got misconstrued. It's also, it's an odd thing. It's a long story, and it was meant to be favorable, and it got taken in the wrong context, and some people got upset, and I apologized for not making sure that it was put into its correct context.
Could we put it in a correct context here by repeating the joke in the context that it should be heard in?
It would take more time than we probably have.
How much time would it take?
It would take 5 hours.
We don't have that much time.
I felt bad about it, and what happens is, you know, decisions are made really quick on Saturday Night Live. I asked everybody, I asked all the producers to not do it, and the producers wanted to do it, and I said we shouldn't do it, I think it's going to be misconstrued, and all the producers at the time said it won't be misconstrued.
Right.
And it was. And I felt bad, and I sent a letter apologizing.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Because I felt bad because I never wanted to do it in the first place. I said we shouldn't do it, and all the producers thought that it wasn't bad.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing about producers is they don't have to come out here and do what you do or do...
And have Eric be very, very upset with me.
Exactly.
And say bad things about my friend Damon.
And they will say, well, this is going to be really great, just go ahead and do it. And I've learned over the years, because I've been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
And you probably learned too. Bet on yourself and not on...
Well, from that point on, if I felt that it wasn't right. I never did it. But I was still stupid new guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was still new on the job. And I said, I think this is going to be misunderstood. And everybody said it wouldn't be, and it was, and I felt bad.
So you sent the apology? You were a man
I wrote a letter,
and end of story.
And yeah, I felt bad about it. But that's the show. The show is very catch as catch can. You make decisions. The show goes on at 11:30 live, and you make decisions at 11:25.
Let me ask you here about working there when you did from the late 80s and early 90s, right?
Right.
What about the ghosts of the past, the Chevy Chases, the Gilda Radners, and all the people, you know, the original not ready for primetime players? Were these people icons to the cast when you were there? Heroes?
Oh, my God, yeah. I mean...
Pioneers, patron saints?
I told you, I wanted to be on the show since I was 11 years old. So just to walk through the halls and see their photographs and stuff and see, like, and to be in the costume area and see the bee costume and all that stuff, it's just awesome. I mean, there's just such a tremendous sense of history there. I just loved my whole time there. I couldn't believe that I actually got to be on it, and I have nothing but the most fondest memories of being on that show.
And what about making movies? Is that a good occupation, or do you miss the television and being on the air live as you were for so many years?
My thing is it's just great to have a job. That's my theory of acting. It's good to be employed, but by the grace of God go I, and there's no heavy lifting. So, you know, whatever's going, you know, I'm just happy to be
Hey, listen, what guys are looking for is a good job, a nice apartment, and a nice lady in their lives.
That's all you want.
And,
That's
and
my
you,
fault.
and you have all three.
Gainful employment,
there you go.
nice dwelling, and a beautiful woman. And
Congratulations on your marriage, on your success with Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. And by the way, I love the scene in the picture where you're in Las Vegas.
Oh, right.
The blackjack scene. It's a great, great scene.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on, Mike, and I hope we'll see you again.
I'd love to come back on.
Okay, you will.
Yay.
Mike Myers, Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, and check him out tomorrow night on the MTV Movie Awards. Check the cable listings for the exact time in your area. Next up, what's going on in the American military between boys and girls? The story after these messages. Thanks a million, Mike.
Hey, lady, what are you going to do with that stamp?
I'm gonna mail it. What else?
No, that's a special edition Bugs Bunny stamp. You can't mail it.
Sending it to my creep boyfriend.
Lady, your emotions are blinding you. Bugs Bunny, he's a prince. You gotta stick him in a frame, not on some Dear John letter.
Bugs, he's too good for Vincenzo.
I got a stamp for Vincenzo. It's a toad.
Special edition stamps now at the post office. Some stamps you just can't lick.
A man who hadn't quite reached 40 was turning gray, so he went to his barber and he said, hey, I'm not quite 40 and I'm turning gray. What do I do? Get a Katera, said his barber. So he did, and they checked out the options. And when they were going along at a pretty good clip, he opened the sunroof and let the wind blow in his hair. He relaxed on the leather and listened to 12 CDs on the Bose stereo. And because the Katera comes with just about every other luxury standard, he figured his problem was solved. It wasn't, but he felt a lot better. Katera, it's the caddy that zigs.
If you want great taste without all the fat, then go to Subway for a fresh sandwich. And right now, for a limited time, we've livened up our roasted chicken breast sandwich with the sweet, delicious flavor of Grey Poupon honey mustard. Take the Subway challenge at a Subway near you.
Whatever Dad wants for Father's Day, Sears has it all. Get Dad this Craftsman two-piece handy cut set or the self-adjusting Rover Grip pliers set, $39.99 for each set. So get to Sears and get Dad everything he wants, from tools to ties.
Of all the dangers you will face, of all the thrills you will experience, no adventure is bigger than Batman and Robin. The event of the summer is here.
Hang on.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, Uma Thurman, Alicia Silverstone, a Joel Schumacher film. Batman and Robin, rated PG-13. Starts Friday, June 20th.
On America's Night of Television, special guest star Willie Nelson is a lawman hunting a killer.
Matthew!
But will a sheriff get caught in the middle? Dr. Quinn. Then, can knowing tomorrow's news today help save a homeless boy's life?
Keep your eyes open. Stay awake.
Don't do this to me! Come on!
Early edition. And when Walker, Texas Ranger exposes a dark secret.
Nasty bruise, Eddie.
I fell.
Chuck Norris is the last hope for a mother and son. An unforgettable Walker. CBS Saturday.
Goes where you want it, stays
stays where you put it. The new flexible shower massage from Teledyne Waterpick.
Hudson Hines were back with a fast hand from KC to see which sauce would win the test. Bullseye. 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 Folks say Bullseye tastes the best.
You're the best, big guy.
Big Bold Bullseye tastes the best. Now try new Raging Bull Spicy Hot and Grilled Onion with Garlic.
Whether it's rings for your fingers or boots for your feet, Oldsmar Flea Market has it all. We'll prepare the food, furnish the home, add blooms to the garden, fill the toolbox, and treat you like a queen. Hey, we'll even throw in a cuddly puppy. So what are you waiting for? Discover the thrill of shopping at Oldsmar Flea Market, located on State Road 584 off Racetrack Road in Oldsmar. Market is open Friday from 10 to 3 and Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 5. The Oldsmar Flea Market, the mightiest in the South.
You love playing with your kids, but it's killing your back. When back pain hits hard, get Dones. Dones is effective back pain medicine. It relieves the pain no matter where it hurts. Dones, the back pain medicine.
It has not been a great couple of months for the American military. Continuing scandals have kept the armed services in a spotlight that they would rather not be in. But all of this is no surprise to Lucian Truscott, the former Army platoon leader turned author, says the latest wave of military scandals is simply a symptom of larger problems for the U.S. military. His latest book, by the way, is a novel entitled Heart of War, and we're pleased to have Mr. Truscott with us tonight. Lucian, thanks for coming on, and welcome to CBS. I want to get to the book here, and amazingly, this is the story of a general who is involved in sexual misconduct of sorts.
It's the story of an adulterous general who's trying to become the chief of staff of the Army, and he's top on the list.
And you wrote this about 2 years ago, with your crystal ball next to your word processor.
Well, I don't know if there's a crystal ball. I think I remember a small cat sitting there, though, and a one-year-old crawling around underneath my feet. But I don't know what that contributes to your story, you know, to your ability to predict the future. But it must have contributed something.
Let me ask you about this case involving General Ralston, who was the top choice to assume the position of chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And the Secretary of Defense came out and said that she felt that his previous adulterous conduct came when he was separated from his wife, would have no bearing, and then the Kelly Flynn thing came along. What's at the center of this story, do you think?
Well, one thing that's at the center is Secretary Cohen has turned into the father confessor of the Pentagon. I mean, I think they've got a little booth set up in his office now or something. Anybody that wants to be chairman of the Joint Chief has to go in there and pull the curtain closed and answer the question.
Mm-hmm. I mean, would the fact that General Reardon had an affair 11 years, or Ralston rather, would that have any effect on his ability to serve and perform his duties as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? And I'm not a military guy, but my answer would be no.
Well, I think taken in the abstract, the answer would be no. But you have to look at this thing, you know, in the context of him being the absolute top leader of the United States military. I think that you can make an argument that generals and admirals ought to be held to a much higher standard than lieutenants and sergeants and captains and privates. People, right. And in this case, when Cohen pardoned him, basically what he was saying to the lower ranks was, well, high rank is a vacation from the rule of law. Well, what kind of a message is that to put out to the people who are serving down there with mud on their boots and grease on their hands? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that Ralston not only committed adultery and admitted it, but he prosecuted other men for doing the same thing.
That's right, he busted other guys.
And he ousted a three-star general for doing the same thing. And so this kind of sanctimonious hypocrisy doesn't have any place in the American military. And, you know, they keep talking about Kelly Flynn and all the rest of this business and bringing discredit upon the service and, you know, sowing unrest in the ranks and morale and everything else.
Baloney.
Don't you think that the troops get the message when the big guys get off and the little guys don't? I mean, they were going to court-martial this lieutenant.
Kelly Flynn.
What power did she have to affect anybody's life? She couldn't court-martial anybody. You know, you know what the problem is? The Pentagon is still run by an old boys
It's an old boys network, and let me tell you what else part of the problem is, and it goes, my military experience is very limited. I served for 6 years in the Air National Guard. I spent not a lot of time on active duty, but we learned one thing early on in basic training: RHIP rank has its privilege. And General Ralston is a perfect example. You know, when Cohen said, hey, it's okay because it didn't affect his job, but in the case of Kelly Flynn, well, they say it wasn't so much that she committed adultery, she disobeyed orders, okay? And
she lied.
And she lied, and would you, and of course, here is the key phrase: would you want somebody who would not obey an order or who told a lie flying nuclear weapons around your country? Oh boy, I mean, if Kelly Flynn gets up in that plane, she might just lose it and blow up Omaha some afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, you know, what do they think she is? A female Timothy McVeigh? I mean, you know, what's going on here?
Dr. Strangelove, Kelly Flynn Strangelove.
I mean, you know, you could make the case that Ralston was living a lie for 13 years.
Yeah.
And you know, they make all this big business about, well, she was going to be flying a nuclear weapon.
And she
Ralston,
lied.
if he became chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was going to be the guy with the finger on the trigger of all the nuclear weapons. And, you know, I'm tired of these people beating up on poor Kelly Flynn. And I think that the American military and this entire country ought to get down on their hands and knees and thank Kelly Flynn. Because without her case, we wouldn't know about these scoundrels like Ralston and the rest of them.
Now, let me ask you something else here, and I asked this the other night of David Hackworth when he was here. Why is it now that all this is happening? I mean, you know, we could go back through American military history, and I'm sure there have been cases of hanky-panky in the ranks and in the brass. But all of a sudden, in the last year, we've had the top enlisted guy in one of the services brought up on charges of, you know, assaulting recruits and taking unnecessary pleasures with recruits. We've had the Ralston thing. We've had the Kelly Flynn thing. We've had 4 or 5 top visibility stories about this. Why is this all happening now?
Well, I'm going to sound like Michael Medved, but I'm going to blame the 60s, you know. I mean, no, I hate to be paying him a compliment, but look, General Ralston's 53 years old. He's 3 years older than I am. The general that he relieved of command was only, you know, in his early 50s. The General Longhauser that got relieved and forcibly retired was 51 or something like that. These guys grow up, Tom, listening to the Beatles say, I want to hold your hand, listening to the Rolling Stones saying, singing, let's spend the night together. They grew up in the 1960s. They went through the sexual revolution. I mean, you know, you have to look at General Ralston as the rock star of the Air Force. I mean, this guy's got hot and cold running aides, hot and cold running handlers, managers, roadies, and lo and behold, groupies.
Yeah.
You know, and
he's a stud, right?
He's a star, right? And these guys that come from my generation, you know, who grew up looking at Eric Clapton and what he was getting, you know, all of a sudden when they became Eric Clapton, they said, oh my God, you know, here I am and there's everything around me. And not only that, there's women in the Army, you know. I mean, they went crazy. You know what's going on at the Pentagon? They're going crazy. That's what's going on. This is driving them mad. That's why we find ourselves in the pickle that we're in.
We are talking tonight with Lucian Truscott IV. His book is called Heart of War, a novel about an adulterous general who wants to become chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Reality imitating art in the news today. We'll continue with Lucian and you on the toll-free as time permits after this short break.
Problem. 2 women have 20 minutes to catch the same train. But first, they must run a few errands. If woman A uses her ATM card with the MasterCard logo, and woman B still writes checks, who will catch the train? If you answered woman A, you're right. Now use your debit MasterCard. Withdraws directly from your checking account. Debit MasterCard accepted everywhere you see MasterCard.
Is a big odor taking over your little space? Stop it with Wizard Stick-Ups. And stick up for fresh air.
If you want great taste without all the fat, then go to Subway for a fresh sandwich. And right now, for a limited time, we've livened up our roasted chicken breast sandwich with the sweet, delicious flavor of Grey Poupon honey mustard. Take the Subway challenge at a Subway near you.
Tonight on Dave, Tom Brokaw and Sheryl Crow. Plus,
before the show is finished, I will kiss you and your mother.
Yay, you! Tonight on Dave.
A holiday in Washington turns into an international crisis.
You're not safe here.
Will Commander Rabb take an assassin's bullet on Jag? Then, Don and Cheech held hostage.
Oh, man, I shouldn't have drank those last 2 beers.
On a runaway train.
If you're gonna shoot me, shoot me.
Nash Bridges, CBS Friday.
When something's liquid, it can go anywhere. It can get into anything. That's the idea behind Enamelon, the first toothpaste to combine cavity-fighting fluoride with liquid calcium. Enamelon penetrates the weak spots in your teeth, strengthening the enamel, keeping teeth strong and healthy. Liquid calcium, found only in a new toothpaste called Enamelon.
Hi.
Hi.
All these yours?
No, I'm a dog walker.
Well, can I help you?
Oh, sure, Cliff.
Come on, let's go, kid.
Come on. Come on, everybody.
Here we go. They all have a mind of their own, don't they?
They sure do.
She's pretty tough, isn't she? When do you get your breakfast?
Whenever I can. I go to somewhere where I can have breakfast all day.
Well, then you should try IHOP Sweet 16. Choose from 16 delicious, unique pancakes like French with orange sauce, plus get eggs, hash browns, and bacon, all for $3.99.
Have you ever walked any other kind of animals?
Iguana.
What do they eat?
Omelette.
Let me just remind you here for a second that tomorrow night, Ileana Douglas, the actress, is here. And then from the Drug Enforcement Agency, one of their undercover agents, Heidi Landgraf, and the continuing effort to control illicit substance in this country, which, as we all know, is not going very well. Back with Lucian Truscott and more of his observations on the American military right after this timeout.
When we decided to have a baby, we knew we had to stop smoking first.
We had the motivation. We needed the help.
We chose Nicorette gum because it was flexible. Gave us the choice of 2 strengths, one for light smokers, me.
One for heavy smokers, me.
And the power to decide, how much to use and when to use it to fight our cravings.
We've been officially smoke-free for a year now.
And in gratitude, we're thinking of calling the baby Nicorette. It's a joke, honey.
Nicorette gum will help you quit smoking successfully by helping you control your cravings. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
Everybody come to ease my heavy load. I'm here to sing the praises about the finest cars on the road. And the CLK to this classy group. This man, oh man, what a beautiful coupe. Yeah, I love my Benz now. Oh yeah, it's the car for me. Well, there's a 380 in my E420. Man, I'm in overdrive. The C-Class starts around 31 grand. Now, baby, that's no jive. The SLK is fun in blue skies and in gray skies, too. See the M-Class in the Lost World movie, making its big debut. I love my Benz now. Yeah, I love my Benz now. Oh, yeah, it's the car for me.
All right, you've got my Discover card statement. Well, I write, but a lot of people don't realize I make wonderful pictures, too. And what I do is I paint on acetate with India ink. I went into Barnes & Noble one time and bought 3 books I myself had written. And I presume I got a royalty as well as the bonus from Discover cards.
How many credit cards make a statement like that? It pays to discover.
I think that's me.
Use it where you see the Nova sign.
Nobody owns us, man. When I say us, I mean ball players. Ball players. Nobody owns us. You understand? And nobody can own basketball. There's no one person can own this game. You can take away the NBA, so what? Take it away. You can take away the endorsement, so what? You can take away the logos on the shoes, or what? Take them off. But when you take all that away, that Zoe, that Indiana boy, and the street baller, he's gonna still be butter.
It's today's cool taste. Sirt's Cool Mint Drops. 2 mints in 1. Cool mint taste, plus an active breath-freshening ingredient. Retsin. Treat your breath to Cool Mint Drops, only from Certs.
To stop itch, get Benadryl cream. It stops itch on the skin surface. Then Benadryl penetrates to block the histamine that triggers itch. Hydrocortisones can't do that. Block the histamine and ditch the itch with Benadryl cream.
With Lucian Truscott, here is Steve on the toll-free in Montreal. Hi, Steve. Welcome to CBS.
Hi, how are you, Tom?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Good. My question to Lucian is, I was wondering why the U.S. military considers adulterous affairs as a chargeable offense, whereas here in Canada they are not.
That's a good question. I mean, it's been on the books since
people in European countries are astounded at our preoccupation with sex in the American military or American political life, for that matter.
Well, it's been on the books since 1951, but I think it's worth pointing out that since 1951, not one general has been prosecuted for adultery. No. And in the last year alone, 163 people of lesser rank have been prosecuted. Mm-hmm. I think that, this kind of preoccupation with adultery is just part of the American psyche. I mean, there's a puritanical streak that runs in this country that runs, right from the military, from the Pentagon straight across the river to the conservative Republican Congress.
But shouldn't a respect for privacy can run for everybody?
Well, and let me just go beyond your question a bit, Steve. No offense intended here, but
no, sure.
We've said regarding homosexuals in the military, don't ask, don't tell. Couldn't we have don't ask, don't tell about heterosexual relationships?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that one of the great ironies about this is that don't ask, don't tell was a compromise that was forced on President Clinton and was originally intended to apply to gay people. And the funny thing is that it's boomeranged, and now it applies to generals. I mean,
right.
The New York Times has reported that there's dozens of them running around the E-ring with their tails between their legs, scared silly that Secretary Cohen is going to walk in and say, "Are you now, or have you ever been, or have you ever done it?" And the reports that I've read and the stuff that I'm
coming to. I mean, what is it coming to?
It's just going on? It's like I said, they're going mad, yeah. And I don't know. I think, if you ask me what's going to happen, I think that this generation of generals that are running things, this whole boys club, started their careers in an all-military army. And women in the ranks was forced on them by the Congress. Mm-hmm. And
to them, women were wives or lovers.
Wives, lovers, or more often sex objects. Just plain old-fashioned sex objects.
So you think it's an acceptance problem?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think what's going to happen is when these guys cycle out and the generation of young people that are in the military now who grew up in their careers serving with women, going to school, going to West Point,
when they rise
Annapolis.
To positions of command, right. It's going to change.
Right. They have completely different attitudes about all of this stuff than these older guys do.
Well, didn't this have to happen with African Americans in the military, that eventually the bigots, died out, and those who'd worked with blacks and fought with blacks rose to command and said, hey, it's okay?
There's a direct analogy between what's going on with women and sex and what happened in the 1950s with black people.
Right. Steve, I'm glad you called. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Let me ask you about your family. You're Lucian Truscott IV. Your grandfather fought with distinction. He replaced General Patton in command of the Third Army towards the end of World War II and recaptured Rome for the Allies. Distinguished military officer.
Well, he was a great man. He never went through the 8th grade. He came off the prairies of Texas, and he got to be an officer. It's a funny story because he was such a good polo player. They wanted him on the Army polo team, and they had to make him a lieutenant so that they could have him play polo with Patton and the rest of the guys on the Army polo team. That was a different generation of people, and I'm asked all the time about what happened to the American military that we don't have Pattons and Marshalls and Eisenhowers and Bradleys and Truscotts anymore. That's a question I've pondered for a long time. I think part of the answer is that ever since World War II, we've never fought another war that was that profound. There was so much at stake.
Everything was at stake.
And the second thing is that in the 1950s, when we went into the great peacetime, growth period and everything else, and the generals had nothing left to do, they started saying, well, in order to become a general, you got to have a master's degree, and then you better have a little time on the White House staff, and you better, you know, hone your political skills. And so the whole military command structure has been so incredibly politicized that basically when you look at this thing with Ralston, I mean, it was almost like a political campaign. He was running for joint...
of the Joint Chiefs
I mean,
of Staff.
when was the last time that a guy that wanted to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff went over and was lobbying senators? I mean, this was unheard of in my grandfather's time.
And then when trouble came, he went to Asia. Went as far away as he could get.
You know, I'm on the West Point Forum, which is a military discussion group on the internet.
And I'm down to 15 seconds. They're all yours, but...
Anyway, and I got an email from my uncle the other day, and he was saying this kind of stuff, and I said to my uncle, I said, can you imagine your father and my grandfather doing the knee crawling that's necessary to get ahead nowadays?
Listen, I want you back soon. We'll talk about the book and the rest of your family. I'm out of time, but thanks for joining us tonight. I really I appreciate your appearance, and I enjoy the things you talk about.
Well, I love being on your show.
Thank you, sir. You shall be back. Lucian Truscott is the guest, and the newest book is called Heart of War, about an adulterous general who wants to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Who'd have thunk it? Back after these messages.
The only reason I would get out of bed is to have a drink or to do drugs, to be able to talk to people. I had a voice tell me I was an alcoholic for a long time. I didn't want to listen to it. I wasn't ready. When I was ready, I did it.
When you need help, Charter is here, and you can call us anytime. Charter is more than just a hospital. We have lots of treatment options and lots of ways to make them work for you, whether it's days, after work, or on weekends.
If I drink, I'm dead. If I don't, I'm alive.
If you have a problem with alcohol or drugs, don't wait to call. If you don't get help at Charter, please get help somewhere.
It's dollar days at Bay City Plywood. Ceramic tile for less than $1 a square foot. Every size, color, and design, under $1. 12 by 12, 99 cents each. 8 by 8, 44 cents each. 4 by 4, 10 cents each. 10 by 10, 49 cents each. This 10 by 12 floor, only $155, including grout. Quality for quality, grade for grade. Nobody beats our prices. Bay City Plywood.
The all-new Malibu. As Motor Trend's car of the year, you can count on it. At $199 per month, you can bank on it. GMAC's special introductory lease, $199 per month. The car you knew America could build. Malibu. Now at your Southern Chevy dealers.
Hold still, Daddy.
Okay. Get Remington close with Remington E.
You know something? You're doing this very well.
Get Remington comfort with Remington speed.
Only Remington has face-friendly microscreens to shave super close or your money back.
That tickle?
Yes.
Get Remington close as can be. You're smooth just like me.
Get Remington close to me.
I'm told that we're now seen across the pond, and I want the staff to research this tomorrow, and I'll tell you where we are seen on the other side of the Atlantic. Here's a reminder, some people are alive and well today only because it's against the law to kill them. Back tomorrow night, same time, same station. Sleep tight, America.
If every time you open your cabinet, you're overwhelmed with soaps and detergents and polishes and scum removers, and you can never really figure out which product to use for what cleaning job, then let me introduce you to a phenomenal cleaning concept. A self-cleaning product called CLR Powerhouse Bathroom and Kitchen Cleaner Deodorizer. I said self-cleaning because CLR Powerhouse instantly begins to foam away soap sediments, calcium deposits, and that nearly impossible to clean scum. It even foams away the soap scum from tile grout that you've been trying to clean for months. CLR Powerhouse cleans almost everything in your kitchen. Look how